Man, how depressing. From the highest highs of Water 7 and Annie's lobby to this snooze fest, Thriller Bark, the arc that almost made me drop the show. That's an overstatement, but man, what a shitty roller coaster it's been. Alabasta, Skypiea, Water 7 and Annie's lobby, all the way back down to Thriller Bark. Let's start from the beginning. The crew stumbles upon an abandoned and haunted ship, or so it seems. It turns out to be the ship of a skeleton, who's a gentleman first but a pervert for life. Brook, or as I like to call him, Mr. Cracio Panties. Luffy obviously immediately asks Brook to join the crew, and the rest of the crew is not happy with that. Brook accepts the invite on one condition. Luffy and the crew have to help him retrieve his shadow, and that's how we end up on Thriller Bark, the home, and by home I mean giant ship, of Gecko Moria, my least favorite warlord. While Gecko Moria's design and devil fruit abilities do lack an intimidation factor, he somehow pushes the Straw Hats to the brink, and I personally hated that because I wanted the arc to end. But instead it kept dragging and dragging and dragging. And guess what? It kept dragging even more. It's not all negative. Before you leave. At first I didn't like the Halloween theming of the arc, but it grew on me. The way other monsters from mythology and other works of fiction was incorporated was really cool. When the crew first arrives on Thriller Bark, they encounter creepy ass creatures unlike anything we've seen in the story so far. And even though I didn't like them at first, I do have to admit that it is great for the storytelling and the world building of One Piece. That's a weird word to say. World building. World building. World building. It's good for the world building. Now don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound too positive about this arc, but I did like the other villains apart from Gecko Moria. Especially the relationships among the villains themselves. Absalom and Lola's dynamic is pretty interesting and kind of funny. Lola is obsessed with him and really wants to marry him, and Absalom is a huge pervert, but not for Lola, and wants nothing to do with her. And it makes for some pretty funny moments, but somehow not as funny as the other villain dynamic. Like Perona's harsh treatment of Kumashi. She forbids him to speak because she doesn't think his voice is cute. This leads to one of the arc's funniest moments when the coward trio is hiding in Kumashi's teddy-like body, and he cannot let Perona know because she's forbidding him from speaking, and it's pretty funny. Then there's Hogback and Sindri, who also have a pretty one-sided relationship. Hogback is fairly obsessed with her, and she is obsessed with hating plates. Her constant mistreatment of Hogback is also fucking hilarious though, because just like Gecko Moria, I hate him. These relationships and the comedy amongst them adds a lot of needed depth to this arc because this arc feels very monotonous. The reason I say the arc is monotonous is partly to do with the pacing issues, but mostly to do with the setting. It was pretty much nighttime for the entire arc, and the old creepy castle setting got old very quickly. I'm not gonna lie, at times when watching this arc, it literally felt like I was going to work or school. That's how boring it felt. Don't click off yet. We've got more positivity. The individual battles were pretty decent in this arc, like they generally tend to be. Sanji versus Absalom, the battle of the perverts. This was a pretty good fight, not the best in the arc, but seeing Sanji rescue Nami was very rewarding. Brook and Zoro vs Ryuma is a lot of people's favorite fight in the arc, and I can see why. It had so much depth and backstory to it because Ryuma was this legendary samurai who was in possession of Brook's shadow, and the main reason they went to the island, well, the ship. Brook, while a formidable swordsman himself, was nothing compared to Ryuma, so he had to tag in Zoro. Zoro just about wins the fight, and as a result of that, we are met with a very wholesome moment where Ryuma rewards Zoro with, or entrusts Zoro with, a legendary sword, Shusui. What's weird about this moment is Ryuma and Brook were still connected when that happened, so who was truly acknowledging Zoro Was it Ryuma? Was it Brook? Was it both? That's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night. Also, we get our first mention of Wano, which is cool. I've obviously heard all about Wano from people who have watched the show, and it finally getting introduced felt like I was making progress by sticking through the shitty arc. I'm going to keep calling it shitty even though I'm talking about all these positive things. Deal with it. Now, I said that was most people's favorite fight, and I think I agree, but for me the fight with the best / funniest moments is Usopp vs Perona. It honestly gave the funniest moments of the entire arc. Her self-doubt ghosts, I don't know the name of them. I'm riffing. I could have looked that up, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, her self-doubt ghosts that keep breaking the spirits of the Straw Hats, Zoro and Sanji specifically, had me in fucking tears.
情けねえ奴らだな。普段から気をしっかり持たねえから、妙なゴーストごときに心を翻弄されんだよ。生まれてきてすいません。もういいわ! The way they go from confident fighters to broken men in like an instant was so well done and so hilarious to watch. And then it somehow gets funnier. Usopp is so full of self-doubt that he affects the ghosts. Relatable. I laughed throughout this entire fight / I guess it was 2 fights, but I'm counting it as 1. I guess we need to speak about Gecko Moria. Ugh. I do not like him. I don't like his laugh either. It was so annoying. It also felt like he kept getting lucky and fighting dirty, which obviously makes sense because he's the villain, but it was pissing me off so much. I feel like he could have and should have been stopped before hitting his final form. The reason I have so much disdain for this arc is this battle and the other skirmishes around this battle took so long to conclude, as well as other moments like Luffy being captured, the Straw Hats being chased around the palace by zombies, different herds of zombies all the time, and then there was Oars and them trying to feed Oars salt and all of that, or trying to get enough food for Oars to eat. It took so long, but on a positive note, at least we got to see the Oars / Luffy combo. That was pretty funny. And we got to see Nightmare Luffy, which was sick as fuck. And obviously we can't forget about Frankie cracking 90s when he built that staircase. And the moment you've all been waiting for. That scene. Kuma, the Jehovah's Witness, comes to Thriller Bark and just fucks shit up. I can't lie, I didn't understand what his power was at the time, but it was OP as fuck. He starts teleporting people left and right. Where do you want to go? Fuck off. Now the scene I referenced earlier, that scene. Zoro takes on all of Luffy's pain and suffering, and he takes it like a champ. My stocks in Zoro after that, soaring. He also plays it off like nothing happened, so aura plus 1000 for that. The revelation / conclusion of this arc is amazing, because the long battles finally end and we have happy moments and sunshine. And also all of the main objectives are ticked off. Brook gets his shadow, Luffy defeats a warlord, all of Gecko Moria's victims get their shadows back. It's a great conclusion to the arc, but overall I still don't like the arc. I'm rating that a 5 out of 10. That arc can suck my... Now for the individual award section. As always. Favorite location? Well, I'm really spoiled for choice in this one. I'm gonna go with Thriller Bark. Favorite devil fruit? We're introduced to a few devil fruits in this arc, unlike the last one. And they're pretty okay. Definitely won't take Brook's, because that doesn't help you in battle. It just gives you one more chance at life. Doesn't really make you strong or do anything cool. Gecko Moria is kind of cool, I have to admit it, but I do not want it because of my absolute hatred for him. I'll take Absalom's Suke Suke no Mi, and I won't use it the way he did. My 3 least favorite characters. This is pretty easy. Third, Absalom, because of what he did to Nami. Second, Hogback. God, I hate Hogback. And first, it was Sabis, Gecko Moria, surely. Who didn't see that coming?
My 3 favorite characters. This one's kind of boring because we weren't introduced to anyone cool in this arc, so it'll have to be in 3rd place, Luffy. In 2nd place, 2nd and 1st is tough because Zoro had the better arc, but Sanji's still my favorite. So I'm going to say Zoro's 2nd, even though we had that cool moment. But Sanji just edges out 1st because I like him more, and he was also willing to accept Luffy's pain and suffering. He begged Kuma for it, so it's not like he cowered it out in that situation. Overall thoughts, I pretty much gave them, but I did miss something. I really liked Chopper meeting his idol in Hogback and then having to stand up to him because of his immoral medical practices. I think that was a cool moment for Chopper. A cool moment of growth. What can I say? There was a lot of fodder in this saga and a lot of bad pacing. But there's some bangers in the next saga, so I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Please do like the video. Please do leave a comment about your feelings towards this shit arc. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you next week.